A lot of people, including DYDIG, thinks that, you know, Germany's selling and Mt. Gox possibly their creditors selling and a miner selling and all the, you know, everyone selling left and right. Well, the fear may be overblown, or the fears, okay? They call it irrational fears. And I kind of agree. I mean, quite honestly, like German government sold so much already. Bitcoin seems like it have found a bottom. We are recovering. Mt. Gox is already redistributing. We're not seeing a whole lot more sell pressure going on right now. We're not seeing the price move downwards. We're slowly recovering upwards. It does seem like the momentum have flipped back above. So the fear, yeah, you know, this fear and greed index that shows us as fearful as January 2023 definitely doesn't make a lot of sense. The fears are overblown. How can Bitcoin at 58,000 be as fearful as Bitcoin at 16,000? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Think about it. How could the retail investors of today be as fearful as when Bitcoin was at 16,000, when it was 66, 70% lower than our current price? That doesn't make any sense, right? So I agree with NYDIG. The fears are very, very overblown. It's been confirmed. We have plus 79 million inflow into the ETFs. BlackRock did end up buying a decent amount, but overall, this net, the net for the week, the net inflow is closing in to close to $1 billion. Okay, that doesn't include today, but today I'm expecting kind of the same, right? So again, when you have, on the opposite side, when you have the big whales and the institutions and the smart retail investors buying up, that's why we get through these scary times. That's why when there is volatility and there are dips, why does Bitcoin continue to move forward? It finds a bottom, it moves forward, and then we make a new high, and then none of us remembers what happens before. It's because the smart money, they continue to load up. That's why, right? So ETFs are definitely loading up. That's just in the US and Hong Kong. Not a whole lot of people are paying attention to Hong Kong ETFs, but they are also loading up. They purchased 425 Bitcoins this week alone. So they have hundreds of millions of Bitcoin in their funds too. Around the world. I don't even know the numbers from Australia. But there are certainly a lot of people and institutions that are loading up right now. Look at this headline. Institutional investors add 100,000 Bitcoin, not dollars worth of Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin in a single week. So like I said, even though they're selling, there's also buying. Okay, so you gotta follow what these big boys are doing. Mr. 100, whoever he may be, it may be exchange, it may be like some fintech company, it may be someone that has a ton of money because they have $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. But you know what they're doing? They continue to DCA every single day, basically 100 to 500 Bitcoins every single day, and they never stop. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We got to follow these guys, continue to DCA, 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 and DCA, right? So all fantastic. And here's another one too. The third largest Bitcoin address supposedly belonging to Robinhood. Okay, we don't know. It's not confirmed. They just bought 3,400 Bitcoin, right? Just last week. Just in a single day. Just purchased 3,400 Bitcoin for about 200 million. So you may be wondering why Germany's selling has not brought Bitcoin down more, because all these guys are buying. These are just a few examples. Imagine what I didn't cover or what people didn't find. There are billions being bought behind the scenes right now. Only 0.26% of the global population can own one Bitcoin. And we're nowhere close to that. Okay. So that's why if you are a whole coiner, which is a really, really amazing goal, if you think about it, there are literally no one on the planet that can really take out $58,000 to buy a whole Bitcoin from their savings, right? I know there are millionaires and billionaires that can do it, but in terms of just general people that are working, average Joes that are working 9 to 5, almost no one can do that. Just take out $58,000 and buy a single Bitcoin. But it's much easier now than later when Bitcoin is at 100,000 or 200,000 or $1 million, right? So it's still achievable through DCAing to get one whole Bitcoin. And the reason why it's such a good goal to have is because just look at it. Only 0.26% of the global population can own one Bitcoin, but that's actually not even possible because you already have BlackRock that owns a huge percentage of it. MicroStrategy that owns a huge percentage of it. The ETFs around the world own a huge percentage of it. And that doesn't include Satoshi himself and all the lost Bitcoin. That's anywhere from like 5 to 7 million or maybe even higher. So it's impossible. This is just theoretical, right? Actually, the global population in terms of how much that they could own is a lot less because there's not that much to go around. So much of it has been removed from supply already. So this is actually not even possible. It actually really isn't, right? So for those of you guys that have at least one coin already, I mean, you're so ahead of the game. In 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? When the whole world actually starts really, truly embracing Bitcoin and everyone is truly fighting for it, that's when it becomes virtually impossible for them to actually get even one or 0.1, okay? Because at that point, even 0.1 Bitcoin will cost what it costs a whole Bitcoin now. Think about it. When Bitcoin hits $500,000, $600,000, which I know it will, not this cycle, next cycle, 0.1 Bitcoin will cost you then $60,000. Just 0.1. But today, with $60,000, you can buy more than one Bitcoin, right? So that's just how it's going to be forever. It's like land. It's like owning a city block or just a small little land in downtown Manhattan, let's say. It's never going to reset. It's never going to go back to zero or cheap. It's only going to go up in price, just like Bitcoin, right? That's why you got to load up when you can, as much as you can, while it's still cheap.